renewed pledge to you tonight that if it doesn't look like we're going to go any farther with an LID at this point, but I will go farther with a grant application for a community development block grant. I'll apply for getting first priority. I'll hope to get somewhere around the vicinity of $190,000, and I will recommend that the city contribute at least $100,000 to the pot and see how far we can go with that. That's as good as I can do for the time being. Yes, sir.
You know, I don't speak for all these people, but I speak for myself. If you show us just a little bit of progress, you probably make most of us happy. And right now, we've seen no progress other than cold patch thrown in water holes.
I drove the streets last week with Steve, and we looked at all the intersections again. And that's, to me, those intersections are where you've got the biggest problems. I mean, just gaping holes and puddled water and lack of proper storm drainage. I think those would be would you think those would be the major?
Yeah, the intersections are the worst. The problem he brings up, gentleman in the back brought up a great point. And I've been racking my brain on trying to come up with a solution that's temporary other than cold patching in dry or wet weather. And unless we can get it's
to show you guys how to put it in the hole.
Okay, what I'm going to need, Mr. Wilson, I got the floor, right? So I'll extend you the same courtesy, and you'll extend it to us. And so it's a good comment. I loved it. Let's wait till I'm done, and then you can throw it out. Okay? What has to happen, because the streets are at such failure, and they've basically long extended their life, is I want to get some new pavement, even at an intersection. I'd love to do it. The problem with it is when the new pavement gets put down, the new mat, you got to have something to bond with, and what's there existing is not something that you can use to bond with the new pavement. So I'd love to take out some sections, core it out, put some new intersection in, put some new sections along even the side streets. But say you do a full width and you're 50 feet, it has to anchor and bond with what's there, and what's there is junk. It will not work. Yes, sir.
The thing with chip seal, I see it all over the county, and those roads, they just come in and dump the asphalt, put the chips on top of it, and it's ready to go for another year.
Yeah.
We do.
How's that different from, that's about a fifth of the cost that you.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right about chip seal.
Why can't they do that on third, fourth, and fifth?
Because it wouldn't last. It wouldn't last more than a June frost. Those streets are in such failing.
failure.
The chip seals are basically to extend the life of a street that's moderately worn and get some more surface life out of it. The same thing with the so-called slurry seal, but chip seals aren't going to do anything, I don't think, for the
Well, in the
failed
controlled area that I
pavement.
run, third of the county out there has got chip seal on every road, and they're handling logging trucks and dump trucks daily. And it runs all year until the next year, and they chip seal it.
Yeah, if you don't have a base in the first place, as was brought out earlier, chip sealing is not
Gotta
going to do
start
that much.
somewhere.
Not going to get you very far. That's my understanding. Certainly something we can look at, and if there's some interest on your part or anybody else here, I'm going one more time for a citizens committee. If anybody is interested in stepping up and signing up to work with our public works director on some of these ideas, we're all ears. I know we just spent some money, some of your money, to buy some software for the purpose of assessing the street surface capacity of all of our streets in Molalla. He's doing all the work. We got a good deal on this product. It will tell us a lot of the information we already know, but we want to put this in, get this systematized. We're able to do about one local street a year. That's our current capacity. So we did Leroy about 3 years ago, and then we did a piece of Hines, and now we've done Kennel Avenue, and we got Ross taken care of, and we got some others scheduled going forward, as well as Sunrise Acres. Sunrise Acres is #1 on his list of areas that need attention. He's got some others that are very, very close seconds. So that's kind of where our thinking is right now, and how we are planning to proceed without an LID.
In your adopted budget for fiscal year 2010, under Street Fund, listed under Activities and Accomplishments, they indicated that they submitted funding applications for street improvements on Stowers, Kennel, and highway rebuild projects. Kennel's been redone. Where is the Stowers application? It's listed, in the city's adopted budget
That's
under
all.
accomplishments.
John,
Yeah.
you told us that that was the only shovel-ready street in town.
What?
Kennel. That's why you guys did that one, because that was the only shovel-ready street in town. Now we find out that you had others in there?
We did Kennel because it was in terrible condition. It's in front of a
No,
senior center.
you told us it was the only one that was shovel-ready, the only one. And now we find out you were lying to us?
I'm sorry, Mr. Countryman, but I don't remember saying anything was shovel-ready except for the Avis and the certified industrial site. But we can talk about this immediately afterwards, and maybe I can get to the bottom of your question, because I'm a little unclear at the moment.
Well, you just indicated that you would submit applications to see if maybe there was some state funding. And just based on this accomplishments and activities, that would kind of lead me to believe over a year ago, an application was already supposedly submitted, and
That's been
Stowers
my-
and Kennel Street were very specifically
My
indicated.
intention is to apply for a block grant, which is managed by the county, and it's the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, and to get first in line for funding if possible. That's my
So
intention.
this was listed as an accomplishment over a year ago, but it hasn't even, so much has been done.
I need to look at that, because I'm not sure what you're referring to, but
Okay.
it could be an
Well,
error.
I
It could be
copied and
wrong.
pasted right out of the adopted budget.
Well, I'm sorry that that's in there then, because that's incorrect. It hasn't been done. It's our intention to do it. Mrs. Hanson.
Please explain to us all why this area that is in desperate need of fixes is not in your urban renewal district, and a forest road strip of nothing that will be a million years before you would have money, and a bunch of empty commercial lots are in your urban renewal district. Because again, you are already planning on what you can do with your urban renewal money, and if there's anything that is a glaring problem that's in your city, it's your roads. So why is this area that is in desperate need, that has blighted roads, not in your urban renewal district? And why do you not change your urban renewal district to put this area in? And then there's a massive amount of money you've already said that you could tap into, because you could borrow 7 to 10 times as much against that, and it would not be a bond against the people. So what is the problem with them being in the urban renewal district?
Well, I think the main problem is that it would violate state law.
And why is that?
Because the main purpose of urban renewal, besides addressing blight, is addressing blight in areas that are under-assessed and have the best opportunity for economic growth and development. And so the areas that were picked for the urban renewal district are those areas that have the highest potential for redevelopment or new development. And so, and have the highest potential for bringing new revenue into the district and to the city. In other words, economic stimulus. That's the idea behind urban renewal, not just to fix.
Maybe if they had nice roads and a glowing park or something, that would enhance their area, and they could be not blighted anymore, and then that would bring you a little bit of money. I think you're being pretty vague about this, and I think we will all be looking at the laws about this, because many blighted neighborhoods in many communities have been put in. So to put an empty commercial lot that has basically no chance in this economic times to be built on, or that ridiculous forest road that you will, I've talked to many ODOT officials, you have no chance on planet Earth to build a forest road bypass. And you have a strip of road sitting there in an urban renewal district that's bringing you nothing. So if you improve this neighborhood, you could improve their tax base, it would make their homes more valuable, and you would improve blight. So I think they would qualify. I think this is your opinion that it doesn't qualify. So we will be checking, and we will be sure to tell everybody in the paper whether or not the criteria you have stated is correct. Thank
Well,
you so much.
you're welcome, Mrs. Hanson, to go online and pull down the urban renewal plan and the report on the plan. You're correct, though. I will acknowledge that you're correct, that in some cases, neighborhoods have been included in urban renewal districts. A prime example of that is Northwest Portland, the Pearl District. That was a mixed-use residential, industrial, manufacturing, and commercial zone. It has been an overnight miracle of what's happened in the Pearl District, and it did everything urban renewal was supposed to do. It returned great revenues and generated new economic development in that neighborhood. But that's different than a residential neighborhood in Molalla. And I'm not saying you're not deserving of help. I've been out there, I've seen the streets, I know it's a mess. I'm just saying that we're trying to come up with a solution that we can manage, that we can accomplish. And I haven't hit the target yet, obviously, tonight, but I'm not gonna give up. Sue?
To be honest, John, I love your idea of a citizen committee. I drove through this neighborhood today to take a look at some of the streets, and, you know, it's a real mix of houses. Some of them are very well kept. Some of them are very eclectic looking, you know. I thought they were built in the 70s or 80s. I learned tonight that they were built in the early 60s. They have very big lots. There's a lot of potential in this neighborhood, particularly if people are tired of empty houses, whatever next to them. Maybe there's a developer out there that would come work with people and say, I want to use half your land, I will build a duplex, you live in one half of the duplex, I sell the other half. Who knows? Maybe there can be some development, much like you're talking about on Hart Street, where there's a bit of a mix. Maybe Sunrise Acres, the way it looks today, doesn't need to be the way it looks in 10 years.
Well, the way Sunrise Acres looks today, to me, if you discount the street, don't look at the street, it looks very nice. I think people are doing a nice job. 99% of the people there are homeowner occupied, as far as I've been able to tell, and have pride of ownership and are trying to keep the neighborhood looking nice. And I mean, there are a few exceptions, there always are, but I see that people care about their neighborhood out there, and so that's just an observation.
I've been very hesitant to comment, but I'm going to. I've lived in Clackamas County off and on for 75 years. I went to, I'm a Dickey Prairie alumnus and a Molalla High School alumnus, and I've lived in 5th Street for 39 years. I've put out approximately $2,000 since I've lived there for a storm drain on my streets that I don't have. Whenever I have a rain, the rain comes off the street and drains onto my property. And I'm paying $4 something a month for storm drain. I probably paid $50,000 to $60,000 in property taxes. All I'm being is a little critical here. Today, when I called down here at the senior center to see when this meeting was going to be tonight, the guy that answered the phone didn't even know there was going to be a meeting tonight, and I asked him what time it was going to be, and he asked some people, he said, well, we think 6:30. I called City Hall, and they think 6:30. But now, I don't think your presentation tonight was well prepared. I think that you know now from the attitude of the most of the people here that we're not prepared for what you're proposing, and I don't think your ducks are in a row at all, not for the city. When I came back here in 1972 and people said, why'd you move back? I said, I wished I hadn't, because Molalla has changed big time. Klinger took a water hole and built Sunrise Acres on top of it, and the permits were given. The drainage was impossible. I've worked in construction too. I've been a superintendent for a construction company, and I know about the road beds. But Dick and people have inferred that 5th Street's doesn't have any ballast underneath the blacktop. It can handle the race cars, because what you've done, when I called down there, when you guys extended that street, I called to ask why. Madsen said over the phone to give them poor folks in Sunrise Acre a way to get downtown. I said, well, I'm one of them poor folks. That was his answer, to give them poor folks in Sunrise Acre the quick way to get downtown. All he did was open it up for the people with the phones glued to their ear and racing up and down 5th Street. And it won't handle trucks, but it can handle the speedways. He indicated a while ago that 5th Street's in good shape, sure, because you've not allowed any trucks on it. But you have allowed the race cars on it, and no police to monitor the race cars. So there you go. I don't think everybody here, I think this evening has been a waste of time. I think you guys got to get your ducks in a row, your T's crossed, and your I's dotted before we have a meeting like this again.